Hi guys, and welcome back to Beauty Fortified. If you're new here, welcome. My name is Sue, and today I'm talking about the Catrice HD Liquid Coverage Foundation. Now this has been out for a few years and it came out to really rave reviews. It's very popular, but I see that they have tweaked the formulation slightly and they've added some niacinimide. Now when I saw this in store recently, there was a little shelf wobbler saying same formulation, new texture, but they have of course added the niacinimide. Now I've never tried this in the past because I couldn't find a really good match for my skin tone, and I was in store recently and I just tried this on a whim. They had a little tester and I found a shade in Rosy Ash which is absolutely perfect for my skin. So I decided to pick this up and give it a try, and so I thought I'd share my views on this with you today. So I'm going to talk a little bit about the foundation. I'm then going to go onto the application, and then I'm going to come back at the end of the day and let you know how this foundation performed. Now, what do they say about this foundation? Well, I'm on the the Catrice International website, and they say it's a high coverage for perfected velvety matte skin. It's ultra light, it has a liquid texture with niacinimide without a mask-like effect. They say that it's for a perfect complexion for up to 24 hours. It's water and sweat proof, transfer proof, and it's also vegan. So they do make quite a lot of promises about the foundation. In terms of the shades, there are only 12 shades on the EU website. I'm not quite sure how many shades we have in South Africa. It's probably in the region of 12 to 18. I'm really not sure. And I'm not sure internationally how many shades are available. I was under the impression it was a lot more than 12. So this could just be the new shades that they've added to the range. I'm not sure. But of course, they have put in the additive niacinimide. Now, let's see what niacinimide does for the skin. They say it minimizes the appearance of pores, something that I desperately need in all my skincare and makeup. They say that it regulates oil, so I need that as well. They say that it protects against sun damage, it treats hyperpigmentation, minimizes fine lines and wrinkles, protects against oxidative stress, treats acne, and the list goes on. So now I imagine that the amount that they're using in the foundation is probably very small. So I'm not going to die in a ditch about all the promises that they make about niacinimide, but it's obviously something that they've added to the formula to improve it. Now, I believe that the original formula was a lot more liquidy than the current one. The current one, it does have quite a thick texture. So I've just put a little dab of that onto the back of my hand, and you'll see it doesn't run at all. It kind of just stays as it is. So that looks quite good. It looks like it's quite a pliable, quite a usable, application-friendly texture is what I'm trying to say. And then a little bit about the packaging. So it still comes in the quite heavy glass bottle with the dropper. Now the glass is quite kind of heavy and luxury looking. I'm not a big fan of the dropper dispenser, but because this foundation is such good value for money, it really is so affordable, I can kind of forgive the dispensing mechanism. So I'm going to make a little allowance for the dropper, although it's definitely not my favorite. So a little bit about my skin. I'm 51 years old. I have normal combination skin. I do have fine lines, I do have wrinkles, and I have quite a lot of texture as well. I do have enlarged pores. So I'm going to give this foundation a go, and we're going to see if it is mature skin approved. So that's something that I always look for in foundations. When you are sort of under the age of 30, most foundations are going to look good on your skin if you have average skin. But as you get older, we have a lot of different things to contend with. So pigmentation and texture, wrinkles, and all that kind of thing. So it does become increasingly more difficult to find a really great foundation. So I'm going to go on to the application, and then at the end of the video, I'm going to come back and let you know how this foundation has performed. I've prepped my skin. I've got my sunscreen on today. I've gone in with the Clinique Super City Block. This is SPF 40. I'm going to do something slightly differently today. I'm going to apply a thin layer of setting powder. So I'm going in with my Rimmel Stay Matte, and I'm just doing this to take away a little bit of the glow that I've got going on from the sunscreen. And I've been trying this technique just to see if it does help with the foundation, just to keep it on a little bit longer. The jury is still out. I've only been doing this for the last couple of days or so. But it just takes away the sheen that is left by the SPF. So going in with the foundation, I am going to give it a good shake. I just want to remind you of my shade, and I am in the shade Rosy Ash. It is 050, so really good match for my skin. They do say that you need to shake the foundation up a little bit. The foundation is quite thick, and I do tend to have a little bit of an issue with taking it out in the dropper because you can't really seem to get a substantial amount. So I've tried to pump it in. We'll see what that does. Okay, that's given me quite a good little dab of foundation. So I'm just going to dab that all over the skin, and I believe that you can use a brush, a sponge, or your fingers, but I'm going to go in today with a sponge. This is how I've been preferring to do my foundation of late, just because I find that with my large pores, sometimes a brush can give me a tiny bit of micro exfoliation. I don't know if it's just in my imagination, but that's kind of the last thing I need for my skin texture. So I'm going to go in with a damp sponge and just blend this out. And it really does blend out beautifully with a sponge. Oh, those are the hardy-dars. Really does do quite well with a sponge, and it is forming a kind of satin matte covering on my skin. But I'm just going to carry on doing this until it's kind of all blended in, so that it doesn't look like it's sitting on the skin. So where it looks like it's sitting on the skin, I just take the sponge and I just gently kind of sweep it over the areas where it does look a little bit thick, because it is quite a thick foundation. So with a sponge you just need to kind of shear it out a little bit, just using some wiping motions. But that is giving me a really beautiful medium coverage. I'm going to leave it at that. I'm not going to build it up. It is giving me enough coverage. I can still see my skin through it. I can still see a little bit of my texture, but it is working really hard to improve and smooth the texture, and it just has given me a really nice layer of coverage. So definitely not looking cakey now that I've kind of smoothed it out. I also just wanted to mention I have got concealer under my eyes today. I'm wearing my Chanel Le Corrector. This is a very, very light concealer. Wouldn't recommend it if you have dark circles, but it is just a very slightly lightening and brightening concealer. So I'm quite happy with that. It's given me a really decent satin-like coverage. So I'm going to powder it down just in my T-zone, just to further try and smooth out my pores. So I'm taking my same powder, my Rimmel Stay Matte, and again just putting it on a flat powder brush, and I'm just going to gently dab those areas where my pores are a problem. And it really is working well with the foundation. This is just a very light powder. It is kind of mattifying, definitely does smooth the pores, but this is just giving me a beautiful kind of everyday wear coverage, just covering enough. I mean, you could even shear it out a little bit more if you wanted to, but it really is looking quite good at the outset. So I'm going to go in with a little bit of contour, and I picked up these Catrice contour sticks, and these are really, really good. I picked up the one in light and the one in medium because I use them for different things. So the light one has got quite a cool contour, so I really like this for going under the cheekbones, just to give a little bit of a enhanced cheek effect. And I also like using this down the sides of my nose, just to contour my nose slightly. But the medium one is also very good. It has more of a kind of bronzing effect, so you could use this one just to bronze the face. So it's definitely a little bit warmer and really nice texture. I was very, very impressed with these. So you get a bronzer on one end and a highlighter on the other end, and they're really, really good. So I'm just going to blend in this contour. So the contour is blended well. It hasn't rubbed off any of the foundation, so it's really looking good. Now I'm going to go in with a little bit of a highlighter. I'm going in with my Revlon Skin Lights, and this is in the shade Daybreak Glimmer. And I've really been enjoying this as a drugstore highlight. I like to apply it before my blush, so just going in with a little bit over the cheek area. I just find it gives a beautiful kind of lit from within glow when you pop the blush over it. And this really is a beautiful one for drugstore. Really, really impressed with it. And then for blush, I'm going to go in with a Revlon blush, and this is in the shade Mauvelous, number 3. These I'm really enjoying. That's what it looks like. But they do give quite a lot of kickback when you apply, so you need to just apply very sparingly. So I'm going in just with a little blush brush, just dabbing some of this onto the brush. I'm just going to tap off the excess, and then I'm just going to gently apply that over my highlighter, making sure that I blend in the bronzer, just gently applying a little bit of that to each cheek. So that is the blush done. I'm now going in with a little bit of liner and lip gloss. I'm going in with my Revlon Longwear lip liner, and this is in the shade Nude. I've really been enjoying this. And then I'm going to go in with one of the Maybelline lifter glosses, and this is in the shade number 4 Silk. So guys, that's a finished look. Just having a look at my skin, it really does look quite smooth. I think this is a really good color match for my skin, and I think that all things are pointing towards this being a really good foundation day. So I'm going to go off, I'm going to go about my day, I'm going to come back in a few hours, and we're going to see how the foundation has worn. Also, just wanted to comment that at this stage, it's definitely not settling into pores, fine lines or wrinkles. It's really looking quite good. So we're going to see how it performs, and we're going to see what it looks like at the end of the day. Hi guys, I've now had the foundation on for a good solid 9 hours. If the lighting looks a little bit different, that's because the sun has gone down and I'm now using my studio lights. So what have I discovered about the foundation? I haven't touched up at all, I haven't blotted. And I can say that while I am looking quite shiny, I must say that the foundation is still intact. And what I mean by that is that it hasn't actually broken up at all. So it has faded on my nose, but where I was wearing my sunglasses earlier, it still seems to be relatively intact there. It hasn't really kind of disappeared anywhere. So it's definitely faded a little bit. It definitely is quite oily. My oils are coming through, but it really looks pretty good, pretty impressive. It's not even breaking up around my nose. It's just looking really good. My pores are a little bit more emphasized because of the shine. But apart from that, my skin really looks pretty good. The blusher has stayed on. It might have faded a little bit. The highlighter is still there. I've retouched my lipstick, obviously. But everything else is looking pretty good. So I'm going to take a little bit of tissue paper and I'm going to blot and just see how that improves the situation. So there is a tiny bit of transfer. I'm not sure if you're going to pick that up, but really not a great deal of transfer. And just blotting really does help. It is making a huge difference to the foundation. And I think that if I were to powder it down at this stage, I would probably get, you know, at least another 2, 3, 4 hours wear before it visibly begins to fade. But it's really, really looking very good. I'm very impressed. So in terms of their claims of being sweat-proof, waterproof, I think that comes into the wear of the foundation. I think you probably don't take those claims quite literally, but because they say sweat-proof and waterproof, I think that's all tied into the wear of the foundation. And I think because it's got those qualities, it is going to wear a little bit longer without breaking up. I think that's my takeout of those claims. But definitely it is smoothing on the skin, and after a good solid 9 hours wear, it still looks pretty darn good. So I think for a drugstore foundation, I think that this just can't be beat. It's a great everyday foundation. I'll definitely be reaching for it on an everyday basis. It really is just that good and really has a decent amount of wear time. So really no complaints there. I think that the packaging is fine. I think once you've come to terms with the dropper, I think all will be well. But really is a great foundation. I can highly recommend it. So guys, that's it for the review. Another great drugstore foundation that I can give 2 thumbs up to. So let me know if you have tried the old version and the new version and how they compare and which one you prefer. Please leave your comments down below. I'd love to hear from you. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up. Please don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Ciao, ciao.